Hello, dear audience. How did you enjoy my thumbnail? A very lovely unboxing today. I have in other videos mentioned the story of my cousin who came to visit, and while I was out running errands, he discovered a box of pocket knives, small pocket knives, that I picked up here and there and had jumbled in a box. And he found this one, which he particularly liked. And I forget the model. I do beg your pardon. It's a buck 115 maybe? I don't know. No, that can't be right. It's a buck something. Buck 55, 155, I don't know. Might have a 5 in it. It's a buck. Tiny little lockback. Very elegant gentleman's folder. He liked it, so I said, well, of course you must have it. And he gave me a coin, and he was well pleased. And then, because he liked that knife, I said, well, if you like knives, you should have a look at some of the knives that I've made. And out of those, he particularly liked the one that was on my belt, which is this one. And so in the end, I sold that to him. And then he emailed me this photo. And he said that the knives were being used. He reframes old photos in old picture frames. He matches them up. He goes out hunting and he finds the right combinations. And so he's using these knives for that task. And so when I saw the photo, I said, well, I'd like a signed framed copy of that photo. Can we do a deal? And he never got back to me. Well, I didn't hear back from him until today this turned up. The box turned up with his return address on it, so I instantly knew what it was. And I was well excited. And that is really cool. I don't think it is signed. It may be signed. I'll check it and see later. Maybe he signed the actual photo. That's a good point. Maybe he did. And then, yeah, I made this weird fish. So this is my possibly becoming my perennial Fixed Blade Friday knife, the Jerry Moen Mini Mongoose. And I pulled it out for whatever, but also in passing, I will mention that this thing now, after sharpening, whittles extraordinarily well. However, really, I want to focus for a moment on this because I got it out for the billhook video and I hadn't really used it much. And today I put a very basic edge on it in the morning, and I went out and I filmed a bit of that, me just pruning. And I was quite surprised by how well it worked at that, because I didn't really put much of an edge on it. And it certainly didn't, it was dull. They kind of put a bevel on there roughly, as you see, which is all mashed up now. So, also you can see that I've been peening this with a carbide hammer, hence all the dots on it. It wasn't straight, and so I was trying to straighten that out. Now, interestingly, to straighten this one out, when I hit this with a carbide hammer, I don't know whether we'll be able to see any. Yeah, you can see maybe some little dots in there. Not much. It's hard to appreciate, but there are still some peen marks in what remains of the hollow there. Because the blade had a squiff to the right, so in order to make it go to the left, counterintuitively, perhaps, you hit it on the right. That hitting it actually makes the metal expand, as it were, and push. Whereas this, if you hit it it will just bend, right, in the direct. So, but there is obviously something to the, when you hit it with a carbide hammer, you're compressing the metal. You are changing the structure of that, the grain structure of that metal, and you are work hardening it. So this is not very work hardened because I only hit it, whatever, go ahead and count if you like, that many times, yeah? But I did hit it quite a few times on the edge because the edge was very thick, and I just thought, well, it occurred to me, I don't have to just sharpen this, I can peen it because it's soft and get my edge that way, like you would do with a scythe back in the day. And, today, this morning, before I went out to go to that oak tree, I listened to a podcast about the oak tree. And it spoke about how the Druids used a golden sickle. And I don't know what's going on, but the thing is that later, yes, I also made a short video where I tested this cutting, this oak wood crotch, and I compared it on camera to cutting with this, which is, well, it's a buck Spitfire that I heard about from Knife Doctor. He was raving about it, the Knife Doctor. And so I said, well, I better try. There was one at the Tractor Supply, 15% off. I grabbed it. And it just affirmed my newfound love and admiration for the Buck 420HC with the Pole Boss heat treatment. Look how cool that blade is. And it whittles and it cuts. I mean, hollow grinds don't always whittle well, but this whittles marvelously. It's got this lovely, fat, toothy final bevel on it, straight from the factory. Fabulous. Whittles really well, like this. Comparable. That, I would say, quite a lot better, actually, but it's, of a league, let's say. Now, this thing, I'm mind-boggled. My hair stood on end when I started cutting with it. It's a completely different sensation. Now, this is YouTube, right? I don't know. I haven't checked. Are there any other videos about copper blades on YouTube? I learned at school about the Copper Age, right? Supposedly, we had probably people using copper for blades before they were using steel. Is that how it went? Is that right? There was bronze. I don't know. Also, I lived in the Michigan Upper Peninsula, where I got this ring, which is copper. And the Michigan Upper Peninsula, one of the first facts that I learned about that place when I moved there from a good old boy, is that they did a LiDAR scan of the whole of the UP, and they identified over 1 million open-face copper mines. Over 1 million, right? In the Michigan Upper Peninsula. Open face. This is, we're talking before the white man. So they were mining a lot of copper out of there, and a lot of people knew about it because they found coins in Mexico, I believe, that they were able to trace the copper back to the Michigan UP. So that makes me wonder, that seems like a lot of copper, right? And what were they doing with all that copper? I'm not going to get into too much speculation here, but certainly copper is a very interesting metal, and they were selling this with the pitch that it does not disrupt the electromagnetic field of the plant that you are cutting in the same manner as a steel blade would. And I think that sounds woo, and I also think that it is undoubtedly 100% true. because this is, as copper, has a different electromagnetic field than steel. And a plant also has an electromagnetic field. And when the two, and I suppose even this piece of sear wood, if you're using subtle enough equipment, also has its electromagnetic features, among other features which it features. And the way that this, I can't do it, I can't perform right now because I'm holding with one hand and but I did do a very short piece of filming, and maybe later I will do more filming and more regarding this, because I am fascinated with how well it cuts. I tried it, and then I tried it again. I went away. I said, oh, wait, let me try the mini mongoose and then try this. And look at the edge on it. Yeah? I beat it with a hammer. I hit it with a tiny mini steel. And I stroked it for a minute. And yeah, you can cut a hair with it just about. I tried shaving my neck. That's kind of one of my go-to. But nah, not really. I mean, the buck, this will shave your neck. This will shave me right now. This will shave me right now. Get a clean shave with that. This, no. But when I cut into this, it cuts like 2-3 times as hard. So figure me that one. And happy Fixed Blade Friday.